So today we're talking about AI, and you're spending a lot of your time now thinking about AI. The theme for this conference is, how do we get the next 10 years right? And I was actually in Bologna with you on Friday, where you were doing the commencement speech for the business school there. And you talked about AI, and you had this wonderful phrase of, the future is both sooner and stranger than you think. Can you unpack that a little bit? What is the future going to look like? How is AI going to get us to that future?
So, making predictions about the future is a certain way to look a little foolish a bit later. But the reason why I use this phrase, the future is sooner and stranger than you think, is we do have the tech acceleration by which new things happen. So if you were in the 50s, you thought we were going to have flying cars soon. And we're en route to flying cars, but we didn't actually predict at all mobile phones, the internet, a bunch of other things. And that is part of what happens is in technological innovation is the ability to fully predict the future is actually, in fact, not anyone's superpower, right? And so the general approach and dynamic for this thing is to not try to overly believe that you know exactly what's going to happen, but to try to ask good questions and then try to steer and then correct as you're going. And so, a lot of times, especially a kind of a more European approach, is to say, well, we should plan the whole thing and make that happen, especially within software, where AI is also, reintroducing kind of stochastic programming and things like that as ways of operating. You have to expect that you have a certain dynamism. There's no way to predict each possible positive, each possible negative. What you do is you steer into it. Now, part of that, if you look at, kind of what the future is coming, a very simple way of looking at the kind of superpowers that you have line of sight from where AI is today is enabling everything we do in communications. So, and that may seem small, but everything we do as human beings is communication. We, in companies, we internally communicate, we externally communicate. When we do science, when we do planning, all of that involves communication. And you can already play with, things like ChatGPT or Pi or other things in order to see how it is as a communication amplifier. That's just the beginning for what will happen. So every industry will change. Because even if you say, well, I'm a steel manufacturer, it's like, well, but you still have communications. You still have internal work, meetings, you still have sales and marketing, you still have planning, you still have analysis, you still have knowledge generation. All of these things are part of what's going to be happening with AI. And then, then the question comes in is, what's the second order effects of that from increasing speed, increasing quality of communication, increasing quality of understanding? Will it help amplify scientific progress? Obviously, we've seen some of that with protein folding. We've seen some of that with mathematical hypotheses, other things. That will continue, that will amplify. But even if I was, for example, a theoretical physicist and there was no AI to help me with theoretical physics, even that, I would still be helped with applying for grants, right? Navigating, the time and efficiency of how I work to have more time for where I have unique eyes. I'm not a theoretical physicist, where a theoretical physicist would have an edge. And that's true for all of us and for all of work.